The Cedric Maxwell podcast is brought to you by FanDuel, the exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network.
Guys, this is probably one of the biggest, gets I'll have. This is I kind of consider him a friend, but didn't consider him a friend because he played with the Pistons, but he is my boy. Guys, we have Isiah Thomas, Hall of Famer. Zeke, how you doing right now? How are things going?
I'm doing good, man. And I keep it simple, Max. I got food in the refrigerator. I got a car that I can drive, and I can pay the rent. I can pay my bills. That's all I ever wanted in life. Everything after that is, icing on the cake. So I'm good.
Well, I'm gonna start off. I'm gonna jump off because the thing that was funny with me was every time I mention your name or I talk to somebody, it solicits one way or the other. Like Robert Parish, one of my best friends, going, he's so respectful, but then again, he said, "Man, I hate that little bastard." And the hatred is. But he said, "But boy, he could play his ass off." How does that make you feel when guys come at you like that? With like I hate him, but he could play.
It makes me feel good. It's respect, particularly from whenever. And this is real talk. Whenever I get respect from a former Celtic, such as yourself, Robert, Kevin, you guys were all idols and mentors. So, I knew we wasn't supposed to be liked, but we were supposed to be respected. And I still talk to ML today. So it's the respect factor is there. And I followed y'all, Lakers Celtics series. So I saw how y'all competed, and it wasn't a matter that you didn't like Magic Johnson or didn't like Kareem, but you respected them and you wanted to compete and play against them. And that's what we took. That's what I took. That's how I learned how to win in the NBA. So, I ain't friendly enough with him to call him Robert. I still call him Chief, and I just remember him beating up Laimbeer under the basket.
I asked him about that. I said, "Chief, were you afraid that there was some more Pistons coming at you?" He said, "I was thinking about that, and nobody came, so they must didn't like him." So I was like, "Okay, all right."
No, it's not that we didn't like Laimbeer. It's that we were afraid of Chief.
You played during this era that we talk about physicality, and you and I were talking about before when we were talking about Draymond Green, and Draymond was upset with me because I said, Draymond, during the '80s, you come in somebody's huddle, you might walk in, but you won't walk in the hell out. They won't carry you out. And you and I were talking about it on a program one day, and he got mad, but I was saying the physicality was real. There's a scar that's over one of them eyes of yours right now. Yeah. That Carr Malone gave you. Yeah. That wasn't because you were doing anything wrong, but you were just coming towards the basket.
I got one from Carr Malone on this side. I got one from Bill Cartwright on this side. That's just how it was. When you were a small guy coming into the lane, the big guys took that as an insult. And as a small guard playing behind me, all I heard was this, Matt. I heard y'all back there hitting each other, bodies pounding and everything else. And so I think there was more or less a protect your team. This is our area, walking into somebody else's huddle, coming into, their locker room and stuff like that. There was a manliness about it in terms of, if you come in here, you're going to have some consequences, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that was, it was an unspoken but spoken rule that these are lines that you don't cross when you're playing against somebody. And I remember when I first got into the league, first couple of times I went through my legs, Ricky Sobers grabbed me and was like, "Hey, I don't play that." You couldn't score on somebody and jump all up in their face and dance around, and there was just a certain code of conduct that you just didn't cross. There was a line that you didn't cross.
Well, how did that change now? Because we look at guys, for instance, because I have to ask you about Ja Morant. You've always been a great mentor to a bunch of guys in the NBA. And you see what's going on with Ja Morant, the gun and this and that. Here's the first thing I ask you, though, which is strange to me as a black man. I'm like, they say he was in a strip club. And I'm not saying you've been in one, but I've been in one, whatever. But in order for you to go in the strip club, don't they check you for weapons when you get ready to go in? So I don't even know how the hell he got in. But I just wanted to ask you, what do you see going on in his life that is just crazy right now?
I'm gonna speak to it from a personal, how I grew up, and it's well documented. All my whole family was, drugs, and we grew up extremely poor, and gang violence and all of that, right? But at the same time, you grow out of that, and in growing out of that, what's the next stage? Now, you and I were fortunate enough that when we came into the NBA, there were veterans on the team. There were old heads around the team. The things that I always admired about the Celtics, right? Whenever you go to a Celtic game, there are damn legends walking around that arena. The Celtics legends are there. Charlie Scott grabbing me and talking to me, and I'm looking at Charlie Scott like, damn, man, you talking to me. There's always legends around that organization. So consequently, you have a history of wisdom and knowledge to pass on. What I see that has happened in Memphis, right, is that when you look at them organizationally, who are the old heads? You got a young team, and it's great to have a young team of 27 and under that's got a chance to do great things in the NBA. But you got a young team of 27 and under, and the average salary is 10 million to 40 million. And if you put 15, I can't think of no industry where you got 15 young guys all making 10 to 15, $20 million, and there's no wisdom or veterans or anything else around. So while Ja, clearly has spun out, when I ask, well, why did he spin out? I go back to, well, where's the wisdom and the knowledge around that says, hey, you can't do that, young fella. Let's go here. There doesn't seem to be a infrastructure around that team that kept him from spinning out. Now that he's out, can he find his way back in? Of course he will, because guys like us, we're all saying, hey, we love you. Everything's going to be all right. And we've seen how guys have gotten out of control and then got back into the good graces of the NBA and went on to have successful careers.
Well, you say that, and that brings me to a name, and I'm going to do some word association here. Dennis Rodman. Tell us about it. I remember you were telling me before when you first got Dennis Rodman, you like, Max, you said, this dude right here is a beast. And he is coming there. And I was like, come on, Isiah. I can't be this guy. I can't be this. And sure enough, everything you said about him was remarkable on the defensive end.
Yeah, I remember we played y'all in Hartford. And Kent Benson, remember Kent Benson?
Remember Kent Benson as he got 56 scored on it against Kevin McHale. I do remember that.
So we come out of the huddle, and Larry, I think we up one, and Larry look at me and Benson come to guard him, and he looks at me and he goes, and he called me Cheesy. He goes, Cheesy, and he pointed right at Benson. You putting him on me? Of course, he made the last basket. We lose, right? So the next year we playing y'all in Hartford again, and I'm like, okay, I got something for y'all now. And that's when I started talking about Rodman. And the first time I met him, I had never seen an athlete like him. Like, we had great athletes, but his athleticism was a little different. his speed was a little different.
Mm-hmm.
And, the way he rebounded, the way he ran, the way he defended, and, just his energy and passion and love for the game, it was just on another level. And I love that guy.
You know what? I didn't think it was real though when I first saw him. And then I started watching him over, and everything was a repeat of the repeat. It was genuine. If he would dive, he'd get people involved. But now I talked to Robert Parish about this too, and he said, and because he played with it in Chicago, he said, I've never played with anybody who was more different than they were on the court. And what I mean by that, he said, Dennis Rodman was one of the nicest guys around, but his persona, he wanted to build a persona that was completely different once he walked out of that locker room.
Yeah. And I think it all started when, if you remember, Max, they weren't paying guys in the league for rebounding.
Right. Absolutely.
Right? And Rodman turned rebounding into a show. And he got paid for rebounding and defense.
Yeah.
Remember, y'all had a guy, a great Celtic there by the name of Paul Silas, right? Great rebounder, offensive rebounder. But guys they weren't getting paid. They weren't getting like the max contracts. They weren't getting the dollars. Yeah. The scores were getting the dollars. Rodman was, one of the first guys who got paid for rebounding and defense. He would have 15 rebounds and 2 points. And back then you weren't getting paid for that.
Yeah, there's no question.
And so, in terms of his personality, right, it's like Rodman, and I'm sure Chief would tell you, right, off the court, you couldn't get 2 words out of him.
Wow.
He never really spoke. Now he'll create a party, and then he'll just watch. But he never said anything, man. But I loved him as a teammate. He was dependable. He knew all his assignments. He was smart as hell in terms of, defending people, and the way he talked about defending. I'll never forget, we were playing against Golden State, and that's when Otis Smith was playing against Golden State.
Yes.
With Golden State. And I remember, you going over the scouting report in the locker room, and Chuck, would always have you read your scouting, report and, who you were guarding. And so Dennis gives his report on Otis Smith, and he goes, well, he's right hand, left hand, and, he does this and does that. And so everybody started laughing. What do you mean he's right hand, left hand? He right hand, left hand. He shoot his right hand, he shoot his left hand. and so Chuck goes, Dennis, is he ambidextrous? And Dennis goes, I don't know if he ambidextrous, but I know he right hand, left hand.
Oh my God. No wonder you guys had so much fun. I mean, you got names, and I look at you, and your life has been so well documented, from being an all-star to going to New York. Your relationship with the New York fans, with Dolan, that's a soap opera in itself. That was kind of crazy. Can you just pull the curtain back and tell me a little bit about that?
Coming to New York, when I first got to New York, and you can go back and look at some of the articles, right? Fans had stopped coming to the games, and you were actually calling some of the games. Fans stopped coming to the games, and there was, can the Garden ever get back to what it was? And the payroll and the salaries and everything was high. So when I came in, I looked at the team, and we were really devoid of talent, right? We had the highest payroll in the league, but we didn't necessarily have the talent to support the payroll that we had. So what I wanted to do is try to find a way to get younger talent and infuse it into the team. So it was a high wire juggling act. And we were able to do that. But when you're doing it, under the New York media, there's some issues with it. So we turned around. My first year, we actually made the playoffs. I made the trade. I got Marbury in, got Tim Thomas, Nazi Mohammed in, Made a couple of trades, and we lose in the first round to New Jersey. And then we come to, actually, I remember us coming to Boston. This is when Doc Rivers, remember Doc was under a lot of pressure.
Yes.
A lot of pressure. And we ended up beating Boston in Boston. I think we beat y'all by about 20 or 30 that night. And they were in the stands holler, "Fire Doc, fire Doc." And that summer, they were hollering, "Fire Isiah."
So it just changes, right?
It changes just like that. And, but when you look at the talent, I always look back and I say, okay, we all get fired and we all get moved around in this league. But I always look at what I left, right? So in Indiana, Rick Carlisle took over for me there. He wins 60 games. I leave him with Jermaine O'Neal, Ron Artest, Al Harrington, Jeff Foster, Reggie was still there.
Players,
like real players, right? Mm-hmm. When I leave Toronto, I leave with, McGrady, Camby, Stoudemire, Doug Christie, and then Vince Carter, right? Ooh. So I leave New York. Five guys on the team that I left New York with became NBA champions.
Wow.
David Lee, Channing Frye, Trevor Ariza, Matt Barnes, and last but not least, Eddie Curry.
Wow. I mean, those relationships that you built over the years, Isiah, how do you keep those all in a box? Because we know your relationship with Magic, so documented. I mean, that was like the craziest thing. Remember the first time us black men, we saw each other kind of the smooch on the cheek. We were like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And then the next thing you know, you guys were elbowing each other and punching each other. And then you came back later on and you see the reverse. You guys got back together, smoothed everything out, tears. It was so genuine, man. But again, like watching a soap opera.
Yeah, so the hug and the kiss in terms of masculinity, right? We didn't know at that time how powerful that moment was going to be for the public, right? It was kind of like, it's like with your family, and it's like with black families when brothers and cousins greet each other, right?
Right.
It's a hug, it's an embrace, it's a kiss, it's family, right?
Right.
We don't greet each other with, "Hey, how you doing?"
What's up? What's up?
Yeah. So it's like it's more than that, unless you in a fight with your brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
But with Magic and Mark, we had become so close. It was kind of like, so we were family. We would embrace each other every time we saw each other. But when we did it on the public stage, everybody was like, oh, yeah. Right? And we didn't realize, again, how powerful that moment was. But now, fast forward, every NBA game. When I say every NBA game, I mean every NBA game. Guys come up, they hug each other,
yeah,
embrace,
It's almost X-rated now. Like, dude, let go of him.
Exactly, right? Exactly. They hold him for a long time, and so breaking down that barrier, we didn't know, really didn't know, and now the NBA finals start, right? And so now our relationship changes during the finals. Now it's come out that Riley told him, "Hey, you can't be friends with Isiah," and he had to stick with his Laker group, and and elbow me, and I jumped up like, "Hey, man," because that's the first time he had hit me. Now I saw him hit you and Larry and everybody else. I ain't never.
Well, yeah, my boy ain't gonna hit me.
Man,
damn,
like,
what
the hell, man? So I had never felt the championship sting of competitiveness, right? I've watched y'all, right? And as you know, I was at every Lakers Celtic championship game.
How did you get your damn tickets? Every time I looked around, I'm like, how is Isiah and Mark always in the front row of these games? like they're really fans of the game. Like, how did they get there?
Man, we were taking notes, and we were just so enthralled by, again, y'all were the pillars, right? And everybody was trying to get to, how do we get to championship games? Like, y'all had a lock on it. Remember, Mark was in Dallas. He was on the West Coast trying to beat the Lakers. I was on the East Coast trying to beat y'all. So it's like, okay, we taking notes. Did you see that? Did you see that? Did you? Man, I never forget. Who was on the foul line? Somebody was on the foul line. A Laker was on the foul line. It's a close game.
James Worthy.
Yes. Two times, right? 2 times, right? So, yeah, walked across the line and did that. I was like, did you see that? I was like, and so the mind games that y'all was playing, and now I'm at the Garden, right? And now it's, now you got my memories coming back. So James Worthy on the sideline, taking it out next to the Laker bench. He go to make the inbound pass. Oh, Henderson steals it, right?
Yeah.
Sit up. I mean, these are big time moments. I mean, huge moments. I'm there when Magic dribble out the shot clock, waiting for Kareem to come across, and yeah. And so you watching all those failures, but then you see the comeback, right? I'm at that airport Marriott hotel with y'all.
Wow.
Yeah. So Casey Jones, ML Carr, and I got to give Red a lot of, Red and Jerry West at that time, they were so unbelievably welcoming and nice to me.
Wow.
Because Max, they let me in your locker room, they let me hang out, they let me. I was at the Lakers exit meeting, right? Wow. I was in the room at the exit meeting. So I'm at the airport Marriott. I think it's game 5. Y'all had lost game 4 in Boston, and the Lakers beat y'all pretty good. And Larry came out and, he called y'all some words in the newspaper.
We can't call the sissies. I'll say
we can't say that today. We lose our jobs.
Look, it's a podcast. I'll go ahead. I'll use that word.
But, yeah, he called y'all. You can say it,
Mm-hmm.
But that was all in the newspaper, right? And so now we come back now we come back.
It's okay. Live it, brother. Live the dream. Live the damn dream.
So now game 5, I'm right under the basket. It's a ugly game. I mean, just a real ugly game. Ain't no flow to it. Ain't no continuity. It's just beat up, bang up, right? But last play, one of the last plays of the game, DJ enters it to Bird, and I'm standing there watching, and Herb comes off the double team, and I'm like, no, I've seen this before. And I'm like, no. Kicks it right back out to DJ. DJ knocked down the jumper from the foul line, 17, 18 feet. Boom, game. I'm like, man. So
those are things that you think about. Now, Celtic fans always remember Isiah for the pass that Larry Bird stole.
Yes.
They relish in that. They'll play that at the Garden and people will still celebrate. That had to be one of the worst moments basketball-wise for you, thinking about the play that you made, because you guys have made a great play, a great steal. Rick Mahorn there, my buddy, and makes a great steal, and you're trying to get the ball in so fast, and you don't see Larry Bird lurking in the weeds.
Yeah. I hear that. My wife and I were driving home the other day, and we was listening to ESPN radio. Out of the blue, that's one of the promotions. So my wife turned to me and she goes, it's been a long time. How you feel about that? And I said, well, had we not come back and won, that would crush me, right? But it was a learning experience. So, that play, let me tell you how I got over that play. Because that's the most important thing.
Yeah, because I'm going to talk to Grant Williams about that today.
Yeah.
2 free throws, and it's like that stuff can sometimes harm you if you let it linger.
Yeah, and Max, it was lingering on me. So we fly back home. How much time we got on this podcast?
You got plenty of time, man. You do you. We'll make this a 2-part. I love you, dude.
So after throwing the ball away, right? We got a chance to go to NBA Finals, so on, so on. So now we go in the locker room, and the locker room, y'all only had 2 showers that worked for us, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
They were all cold, and the locker room was about this big. Now I'm sitting right next to the shower, right? And so everybody, and I don't want to get in. I don't want to go in because I know I'm getting my ass beat up in there. So I'm waiting. I'm trying to be last to be in the shower by myself. So Max, everybody who walks by me, this is what you hear. Damn. And they walk into the shower, right? I don't get no pat on the back. It's gonna be all right. Everybody walk by and then they go in, right? And it's like a single file line, right? And then they stand there like Lamb was brutal. Brutal. So he walks by and he's like, I just can't fucking believe you. And we walk in the shower. So now we get on the bus. Now I'm crushed. I'm really crushed. Now we get on the bus, we get on the plane, and John Sally is the first one who taps you on the shoulder to say, hey man, it's gonna be all right. And now I'm so pissed, I'm taking it out on him. What you mean, man? But how I got over it, Max, I didn't go to practice the next day.
Wow.
I was so crushed because remember, I'm the guy that's never made a mistake. Yeah. I'm the guy that's made the big shots, hit the free throw. I'm the most trusted guy on the team. I'm the dependable one, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Grade school, high school, college. You can't find nowhere where Isiah Thomas messed up the game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And now this is the biggest moment of my career. Everybody, and I fail. Flat, right? And so I don't know how to handle this. I'm embarrassed. I'm ashamed. Mm-hmm. Like really embarrassed and ashamed. So I don't want to get up. I don't want to go to practice and laying in the bed. And my wife comes in. The phone rings. She said, you got a phone call. I go, no. She goes, no, I think you should take this call. And I'm like, so, hey, this is Bill Russell, young man.
Wow.
Wow, right?
Wow.
Everybody fall off the horse. You need to get up, get back on the horse. It's going to be all right.
Damn.
Damn, right? DJ walks up to me, taps me. You all right? Larry winks at me like, I am always saying the Celtics, the Celtics, the Celtics. Not only did y'all beat us, but y'all were also great teachers. I remember Larry Bird on the cover of Sports Illustrated. And then in the article, he said, these are his words, don't ever put a white guy on me. I'm sitting there watching like everybody else. I'm anxious to see because this is the first time that I ever get a chance to peek behind the Chicago Bulls curtain. Now he calls me an asshole and then says, I hate him. This.
Yeah. Hate's a big word. Hate's a big
word. Ain't nobody ever said that.
Yeah.
About me. All of y'all, when y'all were players, y'all elected me to be the president of y'all union. And I've stood firm and tall And I ain't never tried to backstab nobody. Ask Danny Ainge to tell you how Jaylen Brown got to Boston.
Why? See, that is not around, but you got to tell me quickly now because you got to speak right now. How did he get there?
Well,
The Cedric Maxwell podcast is brought to you by FanDuel, the exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network.